Everyone, this is Lori from the Crafting Auntie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I created this fun men's devotional. This is using Carolyn Musing's May His Devotional Kit. I will link that below. It's also using some of the Gospel Basics for the men, also in this journal. And so I'm going to show you how I created the cover, how I created this fun closure by creating this watch. Now, I don't show you how to do the watch. However, I'll probably do another video separate from this. So if you're interested, you can always leave a comment below if you'd like to know how to make the watch. It opens up with a elastic closure, so this all becomes the closure. And so I'll show you that. I'll show you how I did the spine, which is new to me. And this is the first time I'm doing it on camera with you. So I'll show you that, and we will construct this beautiful men's devotional together. Okay, so I want to start with the cover, and I'm going to show a new technique that I learned, and I learned it from another gal on YouTube. She makes softer spines and more rounded spines. But as far as the cover part, I'm doing a little bit different. But to make this cover, you're going to need two pieces, and I'm using quite heavy chipboard, you can see. And you'll cut them at 5.5 by 8. So two of those. I have already covered them with muslin fabric. And I also followed, the gal that I saw this from is called Alexandra M. And she covers her covers with muslin. I like that idea, and then she builds on top of it. So I wanted to do the same thing. So I've already put down the muslin here. Now the outer spine is, I'm going to have a 1.5 inch spine. So I have cut this, let's see. Let me give you the overall dimension. It's 3 inches. So let me just put an arrow this way in 3 inches. So 3 inches by 8. And then I scored it at 3/4 of an inch on each side. And then what I did is I scored every 1/8 inch. And what that gives you is, kind of hard to see, but you can see maybe a little bit there, the lines. And what that does is it allows the spine to kind of curve. And I like the look of that, so I really wanted to give this a try on this journal. So I've also covered this with the muslin, and I've already inked around the sides and the top here. So I want to move on and go on from here. And then when I do the inside spine, I will do that. I will show you again what I did, and that's going to be a hidden spine where my signatures are going to be sewed to. So the first thing I want to do here before I put these together is I have this stamp. It's just a script stamp, and I want to use some of this VersaFine, and this is Fallen Leaves, and I want to just do a little bit of stamping. And I don't want it super dark and kind of random. So here, and then like that. And that's just going to give it a little bit of character on the spine, and then I'll build off of that in addition to the stamping, but I just thought that that would really make it look very cool. Now what I want to do is put these pieces together. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and use my Fabrifix or Fabri-Tac, whichever it is that you have. And I'm going to go ahead and glue these down, making sure I get everything lined up correctly. let's go ahead and do our edges here. So what I'm going to do is use my scissors, some really sharp scissors here, and I'm just going to cut, see if I can make sure you can see, I'm just going to leave a little bit that's folded over so that I can make a nice edge and then cut off the rest. So just like this. Let me see if I can show you a little closer. So I'm going to do that on all 4 corners. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue down each of these corners and just kind of pulling them in a little bit, just like that. Now, when we pull this up, we should get a nice corner like that. Okay, so here is what our cover will look like for this journal so far. So there's going to be lots more happening in the cover, but what I like about it is as it grows, this will curve. I do like that a lot. Okay, let's work on our inner spine, and this is going to be the template for sewing in my signatures that will be a hidden spine. So I've done the same thing. I've done the same sizes as we did in the other spine. So it's just a little bit shorter. So instead of it being 8 inches, okay, so it is still 3 inches, and it is 7 7/8. Let me just mark that on here. So this way it's 7 7/8, and it is 3 inches. I've also scored at 3/4, and then I also scored every 1/8 inch for that inner spine area. So I'm going to fold the very outer sides, and I'm just using some scrap paper that's been printed on. And then I have another piece of muslin, so I want to go ahead and wrap this. And then I'm going to fold it over, but before I glue this part down, I want to go ahead and poke the holes so I know where the holes are in the fabric. Let me just use my piece of foam, and that way you can see better. So I'm just going to poke these holes again. Now we have that, so I'm going to go ahead and poke the holes again, and that way they're through all of the fabric, so there won't be any issue finding the holes when we sew in the signatures. Okay, what I also did off camera is I ironed this piece now with the glue stick and the fabric. And so now I want to fold again and burnish these edges. These are the 3/4 inch edges. And those press down good so we know where our edges are on our piece. Let me just use a little bit of art glitter glue to just secure some of these areas that didn't get. Now what I want to do is ink. Now I've been using the ink ground espresso in this. I thought it went really well. Okay, so this is ready to go and ready for stitching. So I have all of my pages put together in order that I want, and I'll show you all the pages after the journal is complete. So now what we want to do is we want to make the holes into the journal. So I've made another template and I made it the same size. So I'm just going to clip it right here at the top. Now I have a cradle. You can use a cradle. You don't have to, but I'm going to go ahead and poke all the holes in each of the signatures. Okay, I have all the signatures sewed in except for the last one I thought I would do with you. So I have done 3 times the length for my thread. And I'm starting from the back. And this is just a simple 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So what I want to do is also secure this little tail so I don't pull it out. I have a bulldog clip for that. And then into the center hole. You can go up or down. I'm going to go ahead and go up. And just take your time on this. Oops, I had it. There we go. Sometimes it's easier just to pull it through when you're doing a hidden spine and go through each piece. Just make sure it's secure and tight. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom. And if you need something to help you pull it through, I grab a little pair of pliers. Sometimes that's helpful. Pull it tight again, and then we're going to go back down through the center. The most important thing about this part is to not split the threads. I have done that multiple times, and sometimes I'm able to fix it, and other times I've had to redo it. So just try to carefully get it alongside that other thread, because if you don't, it's not going to pull tight. And then unclip it, and you want 1 thread on each side, like this. And then I'm just going to tie 2 knots. and cut off the excess. Now once I have that done, I can take off my clips, and then I just take my bone folder and give it a good press. And other more important thing to do is to make sure that when you're sewing it onto your hidden spine, or even onto any journal spine, you want to make sure that you're always working at the top. I have done it where I'm like, I wonder why one of my signatures isn't lined up. It's because I had it upside down. So you want to make sure you watch that, and then also that you are sewing them in the right direction, that you know that this is the top, because if you happen to flip it, it would not line up also. So now we have our signatures in. So I've got a couple of things prepared. So mine is going to line up to the edge of the other spine that I have here. And that's how I'm going to glue it in. Once that's glued in, then I have some pieces that I'm going to be adding in on the covers, and then we're also going to work on the outside cover. And we're going to do the outside cover first because I do want to add some hardware and things. So right now I'm going to go ahead and get this glued down. So I'm going to start, and we're only going to glue on the flaps. So I'm going to start on this side. And you just want to make sure that you put the glue where your measurement is. Mine happens to be right on the edge of the outer spine. And then give it a good press. And again, you're going to want this to dry completely. This is how our spine will look. Isn't that cool? I love the roundedness, and everything looks so neat, and I just love this idea. So we want to just let this dry. I'm still in the works of creating this watch. So this is another project that Alexander M. did. I really loved what she did. Mine's totally different because I don't have the same pieces that she has. And so I constructed mine completely separately. I will go over what I did on this, but I am waiting for a few things to dress it up a little bit, but this is going to be part of the cover. And then I have a bunch of other pieces that I have prepared. Not really sure exactly how it's going to go on yet. So now I want to work on the cover. So I have two pieces. This is pattern paper. This is strips from the sides of the covers that come into the kit. And I have glued them on, stitched them onto some craft cardstock. Now these are not glued down yet. I want to add these leather pieces to my spine, and I want to add brads as well, but my chipboard is probably a little bit too thick for these brads. So what I decided to do was to glue them directly to my top cover pieces first, add my brads, and then we'll glue this all down. And so that's kind of my plan. So I'm just going to use some art glitter glue, and I've measured and positioned these where I want them. So I think what I'm going to do is add brads to this side first, and then we'll glue it on the other side. So this comes off now. Set this aside, and let me use my pokey tool, and then we'll poke some holes and add our brads. If my cover was not so heavy, I would have considered going all the way through my cover. And we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to make sure this is all lined up where I want it exactly. Okay, so let's carefully lift this off. Set our book aside. And then we'll poke the holes again and set these brads. Now we have our leather pieces on. Now before I actually glue these on, I want to do this front part because I do want to add some additional brads. And so let's go ahead and figure out our front cover part. Now that we've got this on here, we can lay out the rest. I have this netting, fisherman's net, and I have this oval. So I want to come over as far as I can this way. I think I might even go right up to that leather piece because I want my watch to eventually come into the front. So let me grab that again. It's not finished yet. And I had a thought of adding brads to have this down. After I get some things on here, then I can add this on. But add it to where I can put a leather closure on this side that will come up and around and slip in here, I think. But what I need to be sure of is how this is going to lay. I have to make sure I keep room for this and a place for that leather piece to come into here. So if I set this up about right, what I want to do is I want to space some brads around here. So I'm going to make a little pencil mark down here, and this will be the bottom of the oval. So I can take my watch away, and I have my pencil mark right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue down this netting. So let's go ahead and glue this guy down. Oh wait, we have some circles too. So let's see. Make sure this is right. Okay, I have a couple of these circle rings that I want to glue on first. So let's do that. Onto our oval. Try to piece this together strategically. Okay, so that one will go there, and then here is our fisherman, and I think I want another one under here. And then this needs to come down just a hair, maybe move him up a little bit. And I want to put this here. Okay, I need to remark where my oval's going to go now because I've shifted this a little bit. So it's coming down just a little bit. All right, I'm going to go ahead and glue. All right, that's going to go there. He will go here. Yep. Okay, so with him being here, let's do some brads. Let's do 2 here, 3, 4, 5, 6 brads. So I have a gold pen, and I'm just going to mark the first ones. And let's just space it about an inch. Actually, let's do 3/4. So right about here. Let's make sure where he's at again. And let's just put one here, and then one here. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this down as well, and then we can also add the brads for this label that I've stitched. This is a label from the kit, and I've stitched it on a piece of leather. So we want that to go right about there. Okay, so we got that there. Now let's take our foam and let's poke some more holes, and then we'll add the brads to this. Okay, all the brads are on. You can see those. Now we can add our fisherman. So I'm going to go ahead, and I already put some double-sided puff tape on the back. So let's peel that off, and let's line him up. All right, now he can go down here, and let's just make sure the watch is going to fit okay here. I think that will be fine. Here, so let's go ahead and glue this down. Pressing down really good all around the edges. You can see our brads, and here's our fisherman, and then eventually our quiet time watch will go here. So what I want to do on this side is I want to put another piece of leather. Okay, I have added a piece of leather. Let me just show you what I did off camera. So I've put a strip of leather here. I've added 4 brads and connected it to this back piece that is not glued down yet to the base cover of the journal. And let me just show you a couple of the inside pockets. So this is going to go in here, I have a clear pocket on here that I have added some washi tape and sewn all the way around. So there's that one, and also one in the front, the same thing, and I've already added some cards to these. Okay, so what I want to do is add, I figured out how I want to do the watch. So the watch is going to actually become part of the closure. So it's going to go on like this. When we open it up, it will be attached. So I want to make sure that the leather piece is straight. And I want to use one of these, which is, I think it's called a Chicago screw, but it's got a knob on the top. So it's two pieces like that. And this comes up through the bottom, and then this goes on top. So what I want to do is I made a little mark. You probably can't see it here, but I made a little mark, and I want to take this off. And we'll poke the hole right here. And I'm just going to try to open it up a little bit because the screw is just a little bit larger. And then push this through. Flat end goes on the back like that. And then this will get screwed on top like that. And then when this comes back over and we get this all glued down, this will come over and it will hook right on here so that we can hook it over. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and I think I'm at the point now where we can glue down our covers. All right, let's flip this over. And so I want the watch to go on here in the front. Okay, I worked a little bit on the closure. I had one path going and then I decided to have another path. So originally I thought I would be gluing this down and tucking the leather piece that we put on the back. And I was trying to use poke a hole like I did on one of my other journals, but I found it was better for me to add a piece of elastic and then a backing to it. So this is how it'll close. We still have a little bit of room because we still have our inside pieces to put on. So that's what I want to do now. So I'm going to open this up and we are going to glue down our pockets. And then now when we close this and we bring our watch up over the front, now it's pretty snug, which is good. So you've got lots of writing space. Just make sure we get this lined up right. So that finishes our closure. So we'll be able to take this up and over and open up our journal. Okay, let's see, I think these are dry. And let's just close it up again. And there is our front. Okay, so I'm going to clean up and then we are going to do the vinyl flip through. Okay, it's all finished. He looks amazing. I absolutely love the way it came out. So here is the front. We added some gold. We added brads, stitching, all kinds of stitching around each piece. We added this watch, which becomes the closure, like this. We also did the spine. We did some stamping, added these pieces here, and then this is the back. And I'll just quickly go through it. It's a pretty simple devotional, but I did use the 2 kits. So you'll see in here that the main kit is done on white paper. I printed it on white paper. However, the Gospel Basics for him, I printed on a parchment paper. So it looks a little bit more like a Bible page. So I picked out the pages that were in the kit. I used, I believe, all of them because I printed them front and back. I also used the envelopes and cards. So you'll see some with the parchment paper, and then you'll see some in the white paper. I just love the way it came out. So this encompasses, of course, this is the Fishers of Men one. This is where she put it together. But also on her Gospel Basics, she added a lot of camping. So I think it really ties together perfectly with this and just makes for a fun devotional. So if you've got a special guy in your life or someone you know would enjoy this, this would be a great project to create for them. Beautiful, beautiful pictures that Carolyn has put together. So I've used, according to Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and then I used the Proverbs and the Psalms throughout here. And I just love the camping and just the very masculine vibe. And again, I did not put a lot of things in here because this gives more room for journaling, for writing scripture, for jotting down prayer requests, or anything else that you decide that you want to do. So lots of room for writing. And of course, this has all the scriptures on here, so you can just take this and you can just go through it and do your own devotional. Now, this is for the month of May, but it doesn't mean that you have to use it for May. You can use it for any month. There is 31 pages, so you might want to use it for a month that is got 31 days. It doesn't really matter. You could do it as 30. So yeah, you can just really get to enjoy this journal. Just absolutely love the Gospel Basics for men. Carolyn did an amazing job. And now we're at the last signature. So there's 4 signatures in here, and you can see I did add some tea-dye paper, and of course then the Gospel Basics on the parchment. I just really came together and made a fantastic journal. So again, I will link the, and here's like quiet time for reflections, and then there was also, I believe in the center of this one, is a place for prayer requests. So that's also included. I love the center page with the campfire. So I hope you guys give this a try and check out these digitals that Carolyn has created for men. And then here's our back pocket. Again, I have just tucked in a card that you can write in, and then just netting hearts for the kingdom. And in the front one, I added these 2 cards, Casting Truth, Reeling in Hope. The sea is wide, the call is clear. And then I added this Follow Christ And look at this envelope. And this is another one on parchment. So you got lots of room to add in other things, or maybe little scripture things that you might want to add in here that might be separate. So we'll just tuck these back in here, close this up. Front comes over and hooks onto there. And then you've got your quiet time, watch, men's, devotional, fishers of men. Okay, that's it for today. And I hope you guys will give this a try. I'd love to hear about it. Please let me know. Make sure that you check out Carolyn. She is on Etsy, Carolyn Musings, and then she is also on Facebook, Carolyn Musings, and One Way Journal Crafters Facebook group. So you got to check her out and go check out the digitals. All right, guys, we'll see you at the next video. You guys have a great day. God bless you all. Bye.